Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing to you Kirby Fighters 2 for the Nintendo Switch. This is yet another infamous example of where Nintendo put a 2 where there should have been a 3. I still haven't learned from New Super Mario Bros. 2. So, if you're wondering where the first two games came from, this was originally a mini-game in Kirby Triple Deluxe for the 3DS, which was supposed to be a spin-off of Super Smash Bros., but with Kirby characters instead of All-Stars. Then, HAL Laboratories liked the idea so much, they expanded it into a full game called Kirby Fighters Deluxe on the 3DS eShop. Now, we have this. So why didn't they call it Kirby Fighters 3? Maybe because Super Kirby Clash was taken and they didn't want to do Super Kirby Fighters? Because this technically isn't a remake, it's a full sequel, but at the same time, some of the stages are from Kirby Fighters Deluxe, so confusing name aside, this is, as you might have guessed, HAL Laboratories' take on the Super Smash Bros. Formula. You choose between one of Kirby's many copy abilities from throughout the years, and occasionally you can also choose some of Kirby's buddies like Bandana Waddle Dee and Meta Knight after you've played through the game enough, and you essentially try to whittle your opponent's health bar down to 0, so stamina matches in Smash Bros. Only. You also get items and stages based on the Kirby franchise, and the fan service here is really incredible. If you're a huge fan of the Kirby series, you're gonna love what they have done to some of these classic locales and objects. I especially love how they reference Kirby Superstar Ultra and treat it as its own game, where when you're fighting on the stage that's based on the Dynablade level, it actually plays the Castle Lololo remix from Kirby Superstar Ultra. And then you can also fight in the wrestling arena where you face Mask DDD. Ooh, it is so nice when Nintendo does not ignore their remakes. Anyway, fanboyism aside, because Kirby Superstar Ultra is my favorite Kirby game, this is a relatively competent platformer. The controls are easy to remember. A lot of times they play pretty similar to how you would expect a Smash Bros. Game to play. And Kirby's abilities are, for the most part, a carbon clone of how they played in Star Allies, and in some cases how they played in their game of origin. I preferred playing as the Kirby Sword Fighter, and he played literally exactly how I expected him to play in Star Allies. And that's the character I stuck with the whole time. Speaking of Star Allies, this retains the same general engine and graphics style. And while I didn't think Star Allies had mind-blowing graphics for a Kirby game when I re-reviewed it recently, I have a better chance of appreciating them now that I've seen them in a fighting game style. Now that I'm not blazing through the environments at breakneck speed because the game is so stupid easy, I have time to look and appreciate the finer details, especially for these levels that are based on older Kirby games now that they're getting the HD treatment. Oh man, it just looks so amazing and beautiful. The music is also really well done too. While it's not orchestrated, it does a good job of mixing the old and the new, with each stage having both the original song from the game of origin as well as a brand new remix. And overall, it sounds pretty good, although generally I preferred the originals because Kirby games don't really have bad soundtracks. And then there's the story mode, which, if you're like me and didn't have any friends to test this out with except for the lovely CPUs, well, you'll be disappointed to know that there's not really too much of a story here. Basically, the setup is that King Dedede and Meta Knight invited Kirby to come to the top of a tower to fight them. And from there, you do a series of gauntlet-style battles where you fight against an opponent or two. You don't get 4 allies this time, you only get 1. You're equipped with a buddy, sometimes your opponent has a buddy, and you have to whittle their health down to nothing. Between each match, you can choose a power-up that'll last Kirby for the rest of the floors in the tower. So once you get, say, an attack up stone, then Kirby's attack will be permanently powered up until you quit the mode. This is a great way to incorporate a level-up system, which Team Kirby Clash did a great job of doing that, and this is a nice implementation here. The story mode can get a little bit repetitive, but I might be a bit of a hypocrite for saying that because I like Shovel Knight Showdown. However, whereas that game was designed to be a free supplement to an existing platformer, this is a standalone Switch game. There's not really a core Kirby game beneath all of this. It's strictly a fighting experience. So as a result, I have very similar feelings to this as I do to Shovel Knight Showdown. However, one area where that game really excels over this is that it's way faster. Now, that's not a dip on this game's frame rate or engine, as I'm not really the type of guy that likes to nitpick about, oh, Star Alias was only in 30 frames instead of 60. No, I mean the game just takes forever to get anything going. First off, the loading screens are a bit obnoxious. I've had worse, but the fact that it's a simple Kirby fighting game, that just, I don't know, that sits wrong with me. And then there's also the fact that everything just takes so darn long. Now, admittedly, this has been a problem for Kirby games pretty much since the outset. But it's really bad here when all you're doing is fighting and you're not platforming. When you get a game over, it takes about a minute of do. You got a game over. Would you like to try again? You have tried again. Another loading screen. Another tip. Then when you beat the battle, Kirby and your partner have to do a victory dance. Because you can't just skip to the next phase, and then you have to tally up your points, and then you have to get your rewards, and then, hey, if you get enough fighter points, you get more rewards, which then they just get basic JPEGs of the Kirby abilities. So now you're gonna not put in effort? Okay, so in fairness, I actually really like the way the reward system is implemented in Kirby Fighters 2. You're basically told from the get-go what you need to do to get the rewards. And just like Super Smash Bros. Brawl, you get silhouettes of what the rewards are so that you don't think you're fighting for nothing. Instead of just being told, hey, get to level 40 and then you'll get something, you're instead told, get to level 40 and you'll get a new character. That was just a rhetorical example, but I think you get what I'm saying. In other words, it means that the player is never really surprised by the unlockables. And you can get to a pretty high fighter level. Now, I haven't figured out what the fighter level does from a practical level. I mean, I felt like I was just naturally getting better at the game. But I do think it's a great way to incentivize players to keep playing, as the music and the stages and the graphics are all really vibrant, and I can see people who don't have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate having a good time with this. However, if you can play Ultimate, play Ultimate. This is really only for the die-hard Kirby fans that don't want another traditional Kirby platformer on the Switch. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned for more Kirby games if HAL actually keeps their word about making this brand new revolutionary Kirby experience. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and now I really want more Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC. Maybe HAL made this so that we wouldn't get impatient. Oh well, maybe that means the reveal is just around the corner. Bye-bye.